Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me here to talk about additive manufacturing. I'm going to share with you why I think, and many others think, that our region, and I'll say our region, Southwestern Pennsylvania, and go into Ohio a little bit, I guess, we can be the world's greatest center for additive manufacturing. We have the resources, we have the capabilities, and we have the technology to achieve that goal. So just real quickly, additive manufacturing is the process of making parts literally from nothing. You just make parts layer by layer like a printer might do in a three-dimensional type model. Compare that to subtractive manufacturing, where you might take a block of steel or aluminum and machine away at it. You're subtracting material. In additive, we're adding materials. So that's just an important thing to keep in mind. As far as an agenda today, I'd just like to make a quick introduction to SoCal Connection. I know we know each other in this room, but just a quick introduction. And then I'll introduce two federal funding programs that we can leverage to achieve our goal of becoming the world's greatest center for additive manufacturing. And then in terms of forces of change, I'll be highlighting where additive manufacturing is today from a national perspective and an industry perspective, as well as share with you a local perspective. So SoCal Connections is an economic development organization. We work with our region's small and medium-sized manufacturers. The idea being, as individual companies grow and improve, they create jobs. Collectively, they impact the regional economy. This year, we're celebrating 30 years of service to our manufacturing community. We're partly funded by the Pennsylvania Industrial Resource Center program. And also, we are part of the Southwest PA PrEP network, of which the SPC is the leader of. We're very proud to be part of both of those networks. And then one of the federal funding programs I'm talking about is called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program, or MEP. This is a federally funded program in the U.S. Department of Commerce, whereby there are organizations like mine all over the United States, cover every square inch of the United States, and every small manufacturer in this country has access to a program like ours. What that means for all of us is that we have a broad network that we can leverage and work closely with to learn from each other and build up manufacturing in this country. The other federal program is called the Manufacturing USA Institutes. This is a relatively new program, unlike MEP, which has been around for 30 plus years actually. The Manufacturing USA Institutes were really begun around 2012. With our country's investments in advanced technologies. So these are also public-private partnerships primarily led by universities and having industry and economic and workforce development partners. Each USA Institute has a very specific technology focus. So if you want to learn about or think about what is the future of manufacturing, take a look at the focus areas of each of these institutes. This is our federal government's investment in future technologies in manufacturing. Two that are specific to us in our region, and I kind of placed them on this slide here around this topic called Industry 4.0. That's another way to think about forces of change in There we go. Another way to think about the forces of change in manufacturing. This is a set of integrated technologies that are leading the way for truly revolutions, like were mentioned earlier, autonomous vehicles, robotics and automation, cybersecurity, digital manufacturing, all those kinds of things. The two that are housed in our community are the very first Manufacturing USA Institute, which is called America Makes. It is located in Youngstown, Ohio, and it has a focus on additive manufacturing. The other one is called the ARM Institute. It is housed at Carnegie Mellon University, and again, its focus is on robotics and automation in manufacturing. SoCal Connection is highly engaged with both of these institutes, and our role is to help disseminate these new technologies to small and medium-sized manufacturers throughout our community. So let's talk about additive manufacturing. The last time you flew on an airplane, your airplane most likely, or may have, depending on how old it was, had parts made with additive manufacturing. Printed plastic parts have been flying around for a long time. Probably the most well-known success story on additive is the GE Next Generation Fuel Nozzle. And there's been a lot written about this. They are being produced in volume somewhere, I believe, in Alabama, and being printed in metal-based additive manufacturing. Also, if you've had any medical enhancements, I guess is the right word, if you had your tooth, like a cap on your tooth, it was probably printed with additive manufacturing, in some cases hip implants, parts like that. So this is a technology that is taking shape. It's been around for a long time, but the pace of change is really accelerating in the last few years. It has been known initially primarily as a prototyping technology. So companies could make parts very quickly out of resins and plastics and use them to demonstrate their product idea, form, fit, and function kinds of things. That is rapidly changing into a production technology. And that change is being enabled by advancements in materials, production equipment, speed, and other technologies. And I'll share with you shortly that a lot of those are being driven by the researchers and the universities right here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. Now, there are some cautionary tales. This technology does have the opportunity to disrupt some of the things and the industries and the sectors that have been very traditionally prevalent here in our community. Primarily technologies such as molding technologies, making tooling. So I don't know if you had on your agenda anything around the shale gas sector and the new cracker plant. That is expected to really grow the plastics industry. The plastics industry is highly dependent on tooling and molding. And so we have a lot of manufacturers in this region that I mentioned earlier that are in that supply chain. Additive manufacturing has the potential to disrupt their role in those supply chains. Similarly in machining, remember I said additive is opposed to subtractive, where you're machining away metal. So all of a sudden you're building up a lot of parts from scratch. You're not going to need so much machining and so forth. So there are risks associated with this technology. However, like many things, the future is changing. We have to embrace change, and we believe that there's many ways that these existing established manufacturers can continue to successfully participate in these supply chains. One of the things that we're doing, I won't go into a technical lecture here, mainly because I can't, but there are a lot of ways to think about additive manufacturing in terms of selection. When is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate? And so our work with both America Makes, Carnegie Mellon, and Pitt, and so forth, is all about helping companies to truly evaluate, is this a technology that can fit for them? And lastly, I'll share with you this growth in the market. So additive is often thought of as a 30-year overnight success story. So it's really started, in the 80s, and again, it was started really being used as a prototyping tool, making parts for form, fit, and function. Now that is evolving significantly, and I'll just say here, the market has doubled in the last 3 years. And it has the potential, so experts in the industry, Wohlers and Associates, predict that it could displace 10% of the global manufacturing industry, considering that is already an industry that's over $10 trillion in size. So it's a technology we need to be paying attention to. So back to a local perspective. I'm sure many of you know we have a very strong history as a region of steel, aluminum, titanium. We still make a lot of those metals here in our community, and we've been very successful at integrating metals and advanced materials and have really been the foundation of American industry. Those types of industries and those sectors are right for this additive manufacturing technology and additive manufacturing supply chains. Just to show you what the volume of this looks like. Now this is a little bit more than just Southwestern Pennsylvania. This includes this region that has been in some circles coined the Tech Belt Initiative. So Tech Belt extends from Northeast Ohio down into Pennsylvania. There are well over 2,000 small and medium-sized manufacturers that already are, or very quickly could be participating in these supply chains. And when you look at what does that look like in a U.S. map, you can see that we are very highly concentrated and, again, very well positioned to be the world's greatest center for additive manufacturing. So why do I say that? Well, first of all, I just told you the very first Manufacturing USA Institute was stood up in 2012 with the U.S. Department of Defense is in this region. Now, it is located in Youngstown, Ohio, but I can assure you that Carnegie Mellon, Pitt are very, very actively engaged in the work of America Makes. Recently, and some of you probably attended this, GE CADA opened a very large applied research facility out near the Pittsburgh airport, strictly focused on additive manufacturing technologies for all of GE, all of their divisions. Some of the other things that I mentioned is just the volume and the size of our manufacturing industry in this Tech Belt region. And also, we are well positioned with a large part of the Northeast U.S. market. And lastly, we have at least 6 world-class research universities that are leading the world of additive manufacturing research and technology. And I just listed the 3 professors that are more local universities because they are well known and very well recognized throughout the world for their expertise. And just, you might not be able to see this slide, but I just wanted to give you a feel for where are companies in our community in this path of additive manufacturing technology adoption. We have a working group of about 150 members. These are representatives from our community, just the Southwestern Pennsylvania community, that are very interested in additive, that are pursuing it at different levels. But you can see the majority of the boxes are down towards the left. We are early in this process. And so what we have to do is continue to support these companies and others to accelerate this pace of change so that we're ready when the technology really advances into a production level. So with that, I'd like to just share a few key takeaways. Additive manufacturing is accelerating. So far, the aerospace industry has been leading this, but the Department of Defense is really about to get into the business of additive in a very significant way. And of course, medical has been in it all along. It's expanded from prototyping to production and from resins to metals. And the world's leading companies like GE are adopting additive manufacturing. So a few things that we have to take into account, that this is still relatively new, and to our community, and some of our manufacturers are going to be at risk. We need to help them overcome those risks and take advantage of these opportunities. The equipment for additive is very costly. And it changes very frequently, so there are challenges, and there are people looking at things like shared facilities, shared use, those kinds of things. And we will have to upskill our workforce. But I think this is a technology that will be well worth it. And again, I think it can put us on a global map to be the world's greatest center for additive manufacturing. Thank you.